Hi guys, my name is Alexander. This is my first video ever. I'm going to be doing a couple of things in the future, but first thing I'd like just to introduce you to is one of my favorite manga series in the last 10 years. It's called Toriko, and it's written and illustrated by Mitsutoshi Shimbokuro. It's from Shonen Jump. It started back in 2008, and I think it's a really underrated series by the people that really know it. And it was meant to be like the next big thing for Shonen Jump, and it was meant to replace I believe Bleach or Naruto. But obviously that didn't work out. Now it's kind of more of an obscure series, but I think anybody that really knows it knows that it's really underrated. And what's about is this main character right here, Toriko. He's what's known as this gourmet hunter. He goes around his Earth and discovering and hunting rare and exotic ingredients around his world, which it is filled with them. All Most of them pretty much made up, but what I think is one of the key selling points of the series is, at least in the beginning, was how well it sold how incredible these ingredients were. That even some of the most basic ingredients were just could be absolutely heavenly. And well, it does change a bit of direction later on in the series. That's what its main focus was, and that's one of the things that drew me into it at first, because it was a bit more unique than some of the other series. And well, down the road, it does become more of a battle manga. It's still always held its own, I think, in my opinion. Enough so that I bought the entire series now. But I just think some people weren't ready for some of the elements. Some of the people were turned off by the art style, which I enjoy. Reminds me of reminiscent of Fist of the North Star, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and things like that. And I think it was also the food thing. A lot of people had to deal with food at the time and just weren't ready. They weren't until Shokugeki no Soma came up for some reason, and they were changing their tune real fast. But I think, unlike Shokugeki, it does more in the pure love for food and just how much it can bring people together and how much we take it for granted sometimes. Because another one of the themes is the gratitude, just being grateful for what we have. Because even though this world is full of food, it shows that some people out there are just not getting, their basic nutrition. And about Toriko is one of the most giving individuals in there, and it shows through his perspective of what that means to just be really grateful for what we have. And for me, that's what kind of sold me once it started getting into those more details. And well, obviously it's not perfect. Some of the battles sometimes were a little underwhelming, and didn't really seem to commit sometimes to some of them. Some of the fights are just completely omitted at times, when we only see the aftermath. And some of the characters, particularly the villains, don't really know anything about them, so we don't really get too invested in some of them. Even some of the main characters, you don't. But what it does have, like I said, is some pretty unique themes. I think a really unique art style and a very creative and just engaging world full with crazy creatures, crazy landscapes, and just fun overall. It's got a really interesting, funny sense of humor. And let's see. It's pretty long too. It ran for 42 volumes. So if you really want to get into it, be ready for that. And let's see. I think another thing that kind of killed the series was the anime. The anime, well, it just really toned down everything. The art, the the art direction wasn't half bad, but like it, the animation itself was just lackluster. And they tried toning it down a lot of the action and blood for like the kids, try to make it much more palatable for kids when I feel like it should have been much more geared towards young adults. And there's one exception to like this though, like the OVA done by Madhouse. Man, if they kept with Madhouse in this series, I think it would have been much more entertaining and it would have gone much further than it did. Uh, but on the whole, I think it's a pretty amazing series that deserves a lot more recognition. And maybe one day it'll even get a reboot of its own, like some series like Parasite. And yeah, give it a try next time you see it. And this is Alexandity. I'll see you guys in the future.